Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charleston, and welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we have another interesting episode for you guys that you definitely want to stick around for. But before we get into it, make sure you go ahead and hit the subscribe button because we're trying to get to 50,000 subscribers by the end of this year. So we'd really appreciate it if you helped us hit that milestone. So make sure you go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Anyway, let me get into this topic here. So for the last week or so, many of us in the media have been discussing some of the issues that the Lakers have been facing as a team. If we look at the Western Conference standings right now as we speak, the Lakers are the number 6 seed, right? They're number 6 seed, which basically means they are in the middle of the pack, right? They're not standing out in the Western Conference. There are other teams out there that are doing better than them, and I think that's for a few reasons. Number one, their defense. Right now, they're a middle of the pack team as we're talking about defense. I think they ranked number 14 or 15 or so in defensive rating. When they won the NBA championship, they were the number 1 ranked NBA defense in the NBA. So that's a lot, right? That's a huge kind of drop off. And the other reason for that is also that they're a high turnover team. They're a high turnover team. They're turnover prone, which when you put these two things together, you combine them, it's a recipe for disaster. Skip Bayless the other day seemed totally dejected and disgusted by some of the comments that Russell Westbrook made when they were asking him about all of his turnovers. And Russell Westbrook was kind of like smiling about like, yeah, but, and I think that's one of the issues. Usually, great players, I don't care who it is, LeBron, Kobe, the thing that really bothers these guys a lot, I've heard Kobe say it a lot, he said he doesn't mind missing shots. He said, but the thing that bothers him the most is turnovers. Turnovers bother great players. Westbrook seems to be unfazed by it all. He seems to has kind of this like laissez-faire, nonchalant kind of attitude towards it. And I think that's one of the issues. Right, and that's why Shannon Sharpe said yesterday. That's why because that attitude that he has is the reason why he's never won anything, and most likely will never win it. Those were the words of Shannon Sharpe yesterday. I think when you have a player like that, and I'm not blaming all of this on Russell Westbrook. I'm just giving you an instance, a moment, and just kind of encapsulating one of the issues that this team is having. And when you have one of the players, the point guard of this team, who kind of has that attitude towards it, it should kind of let you know what's going on. Right now, as we currently speak, the Lakers are not even one of the top 3 teams in the Western Conference. We're looking at the Suns, who are legit, the Utah Jazz, who are going to be very good, and of course, you have the Golden State Warriors. I'll throw the Clippers in there, but right now, obviously, they're missing Kawhi Leonard, but I think they're going to be much better when he gets back, and I think they will get back, and I think he will get back. And yesterday, I was listening to Shannon Sharpe just kind of go off on the team yesterday because he just can't understand why they're playing so poorly, and he really attacked this notion of Frank Vogel being the issue, because they're thinking of if somebody's head is going to roll, it's going to be the coach Frank Vogel, and Shannon Sharpe pushed back in a major way. So what we want to do here is play some of his comments, who I thought he made some very strong comments. So what we want to do is play some of his comments, and we're going to come back and give you guys our thoughts and sort of react to some of the things that he was saying. So before we go too far, take a listen to that here.
That one. I have predicted that Frankie V could be a goner by Jan 1. So we're starting the December countdown before the 2022, start of the new year. Right. And I just think he's on a hotter and hotter seat.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
If this teeters along like this, if they hit, especially if they lose a big stage game to Brooklyn,
right,
and maybe get embarrassed again, who knows? But if they do that, then I think Jeannie's going to be forced to really have a post-Christmas session with herself and with others up high and say, well, wait a second, something has to change here. And the only thing that's changeable is the head coach.
It is. But let me ask you a question. What is David Fizdale or whomever else is on the bench, what is he going to say different than what Frankie V is telling him? Okay, if he says something different, what about what they're doing? It's not the difference in talking, it's the difference in doing that's going to relate to wins as opposed to more losses.
Yep.
That's the problem, Skip.
Unless you completely change the feel of the head coaching position, where Fizz is more, he's a player's coach. He's very tight with LeBron. You could argue to a fault, but I don't know. Maybe they just need to be hugged a little bit more.
Nah, they need to be put in them.
Well,
Skip, you 13-13.
13-13. So you want a hard-ass coach?
Yes.
You want to bring Luke Walton back?
No, hell no, I don't want no Luke Walton back. Skip, they got to have accountability. because there's no accountability. It's like, look, we got to be more consistent. No, it's unacceptable, the amount of turnovers. It's unacceptable, the lack of defense that we play. The one thing that we can absolutely be sure of, Skip, they're going to be consistently bad defensively. They're going to consistently turn the basketball over. Because how many times have you said they did a great job of taking care of the basketball? They played 26 games. We might have said that 3 or 4 games. How many times we said defensively they played really good tonight? They played 26 games, maybe a handful of times. So more times than not, they've been a bad defensive team and a high turnover team. That is the consistency. We need the consistency the other way. We haven't got that. They keep telling us what we could be. I see better than I hear. I hear what you're telling me, but that ain't what I see when I watch.
Now, in that soundbite, Shannon Sharpe had a lot to say, right? He had a lot to say, and he was very, very, very angry. He was very, very angry, and it's understandable. Why? Because this team has 3 top 75 players on their roster, and there's just no reason that they should be playing this poorly. And basically in that clip, he said what I and Charles Barkley have been saying. He said it is totally bogus to blame the coach for what is happening. Yesterday, we did a video where even Frank Vogel clearly outlined the fact that he knew that this entire season was going to be a process. He said, to quote him, it's going to be a bumpy road, and we know this, so it's going to take us about 82 games to really figure this thing out. The coach is fully aware of this. It seems as if the only people that are unaware of this is everybody else. That includes the fans, the ownership group. If Jeannie Buss and them are looking to fire this guy, it means that these guys really didn't have a strong grasp on what was really happening with this team to begin. It's like as if they didn't really know what type of team that they were putting together. So that's the first thing, and I think he's against the idea of blaming the coach. He also said others should be held responsible. Anybody that had a role in constructing this team should be held responsible, and he's 100% right. Who are those anybodies? Number one, you have LeBron James. There's no way any decision gets made as far as we're talking about roster moves that LeBron James is unaware of. There's just no way. There's just no way that he doesn't have any say, right? If you look at the Lakers' current roster, I think 3 or 4 of those players are Clutch Sports client. LeBron, AD, THT. There's no way he has no influence on the roster, number one. Of course, you have Rob Pelinka, who's the general manager of the team. He has a role to play. And obviously, we have Jeannie Buss. Now, we know Jeannie Buss, she's not going to fire herself. When have you ever heard the company, the company's performing so bad, and then the CEO or the owner just fires himself unless you have a board of directors in which they can vote the CEO off and then get a new. I don't know if that's the situation that they have there with the Lakers. I don't know if they have that type of situation there. But those 3 people have a major role to play with the mess that you're currently seeing on the court. So here's what I think. Some people want to talk. Okay, let's talk about some solutions. Here's some realistic solutions. I think this team needs to get their act together by All-Star break. They need to figure things out by All-Star break. If I look at their record right now, I believe they have a 14-13. Yeah, they have a 14-13 record. They basically a 500 team, right? They need to figure it out by All-Star break, and here's why. If they don't start winning some games, if you wait till All-Star break and you're still teetering, what's going to happen is the teams that are doing better right now, their lead is going to grow in proportion. Their margin, of victories that they have in comparison to you, that it's just going to continue to grow in proportion. By the time you get to All-Star break, the distance between you, let's say if you're the number 6 seed and the number 4 seed, is going to be insurmountable unless those teams in the top 4 teams start to collapse. So if the Lakers don't start winning some games now, and they keep kind of teetering with a 5 or maybe 1, 2, 3 games above 500. By the time you get to that point of the season, you're not going to be able to catch them. You're definitely not going to be able to be a top 3 seed. You're just not. The number 1 seed, the Golden State Warriors are 21-4. Suns are 21-4. Then you have the Utah Jazz are 18-7. Unless you're expecting those teams to all of a sudden start playing poorly, you're not going to be a top 3 seed. Which means that you need to be a top 4 seed, and now you have to hope that maybe we can start playing better, and then the Grizzlies are going to start underperforming, and the Clippers are going to start underperforming. That's really your hope. But if you don't do that, what happens is you're going to be in the bottom bracket. And if you're in the bottom bracket, the Lakers are the 8th, 7th, or 6th seeds. They're out of there in the first round. They are out of there in the first round. They're out of there. The Warriors are going to blast them. The Jazz are going to blast them, and the Suns are going to blow them off they're going to just blast them off the map. They don't want to be the 8th, 7th, or 6th seed. For that first reason. The second reason, you're going to be in a play-in tournament, which is going to put you in a situation in which you could possibly get knocked out before you even get into the playoffs. So they need to figure it out. For the people out there that, after 25 games, but all of that nonsense that they're talking, they must not be looking at that. I don't know if people think that, okay, they can just turn it on and then everybody else is going to turn off their switches and then the Lakers are going to start winning and everybody's going to start losing. This is fantasy land. Again, people are out there selling you wishes and dreams. That's all. It's like Disneyland. They're just selling you dreams. That's what needs to happen. They need to figure it out quick. And they have about 2 months to really get this thing going. 2 months is all they have. Maybe 2.5 months. Let's say the rest of this month and January and February. If they don't figure it out by All-Star break, it is a wrap. Those teams are not going to get worse. They're just not Klay Thompson, and these guys are going to come back. So they really have a limited amount of time to figure it out. This is what happens when you dig yourself a hole early in the season. And it's going to be very tough because they have a very tough schedule moving forward because they had one of the easiest schedules to start the season with. So this is the reason why I keep saying they don't have time. And anybody that tells you, oh, this team has a lot of time, you're judging them too soon, is a complete idiot. Is an idiot. Flat out idiot. Idiot. Don't listen to people that are telling you that nonsense. Listen to what I'm telling you. They need to figure it out. And Frank Vogel and all of these guys, if that's the guys you want to point, that is not part of the solution. And that's one of the things that Shannon Sharpe is speaking to. So what I want to know from you guys is very simple. What do you think about the comments that Shannon Sharpe had to make? What do you think about the comments I had to make? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Again, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Once again, this is Charles here from Dreamerspro. Wishing you guys an amazing day and catch you guys on the next episode.